Welcome to Whole CEO with Lisa G. I'm the best-selling author of The Boss Weight Loss. I'm bringing you the top tips to be unstoppable. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to actually pull up a chair with today's top experts in weight loss, mindset, and business. Learn our top tips to set you up for success so that you can have more energy, be fit and resilient, and feel unstoppable. Welcome to Whole CEO with Lisa G. I'm so excited and honored today. We have Dr. Charlie Cartwright, the founder of People Success Labs, consulting firm based in the Kansas City area, whose sole purpose is to bring out the best in leaders and their teams. Dr. Charlie is also the creator of the People Success Formula. It is a result of a 3-decade-long meta-analysis into what drives human behavior. His research clearly illuminated the path to unlocking human potential. If you want to move mountains, you must first move people. Then those people will move the mountains. Dr. Charlie, I love that quote. I had to put that in there. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. It's awesome to be here, and I'm super excited about today's podcast.
Well, thank you again. And I want to just jump right into it. So what fuels you?
So that's a great question, and pretty much everything. I think that it's so important as an entrepreneur, as a leader, or someone that wants to be unstoppable, is that you have to have a variety of fuel sources. That way, if you run out of one, you've got plenty of the other. So positive comments, positive feedback, fuel me. Negative comments, negative feedback, fuel me.
I love it.
You know what I mean? It doesn't matter. I'm going to convert it into fuel. And I take all of it in, and obviously you love the positives and those things. However, I've always said this, that the best free consultants in the world are critics, because they don't charge you any money, and they tell you exactly what they don't like. And you can look at it and say, hey, there's some substance to this. I'm going to fix it and then move on. So I think that's so important. And then, of course, having long-term goals, that's a fuel for me. And then also, I just feel I feel an obligation, heavy obligation, that I've had. My grandparents were so instrumental in my upbringing, and they invested in me, time and love, and some aunts and uncles and people, at a stage in my life when I really needed direction. They gave it to me. And so I want to live my life in such a way that I don't ever let them down.
Oh,
So that's fuel too.
well, there's so much to unpack there. I remember reading a story that you posted on LinkedIn where we met about how your grandfather was giving you like allowance every week. And
Yes.
I really was so impressed in your storytelling ability and in where you came from to where you are now. And also, I want to really commend you on the way you talk about not taking things personally and learning from feedback instead of just reacting to it. So, do you want to talk more about your grandfather's story?
Yeah. So he was an awesome guy, and he's a tiny guy. He's probably 5'6", probably weigh about 100 and maybe 150 pounds. Wasn't a big guy at all. And he always told me, you're going to be a big 200-pounder someday. And I didn't believe it. I was skinny as a rail as a kid. I remember I was stuck at 70 pounds forever. Like, it was like years. It
Oh
felt
my
like 3 years. I was 70. And I remember I wouldn't wear shorts because people would make fun of how skinny my legs were. So even in the summertime, I'd have like blue jeans on because people would tease me about how skinny
God.
my legs were. And of course, my grandfather's prediction was true. And, I'm over 200 pounds. And however, he was a military veteran in the Army. He fought in World War II. He was a sergeant in the Army. And so, it was just in growing up around him in high school, I spent every weekend with my grandparents. I'd
Wow.
get there on Friday night, and I wouldn't leave till Sunday evening. And I helped my grandparents clean office buildings too. So I had a part-time job through high school, and I learned so many things. But one of the things when I was a kid, I was probably 6 years old, maybe seven. I got caught stealing from a department store. And my parents, to their credit, they took me back down there
I
to that store and got the manager. And I remember the manager looking at me and saying, "Hey, do you want to go to jail?" I'm like, "No." "Do you want your picture to be on the front page of the newspaper tomorrow?" I'm
God.
like, "No." And so anyhow, then my grandfather found out about it. Says, "Hey, you can't be stealing. We can't have that. So I'm going to give you an allowance." And so we're talking like 1970 now. It was $1 a week. Okay. But for $1 back then, you could buy 99 pieces of candy for a
Well,
dollar. So $1 was some money back then. And then I remember when we got to high school, my sister asked my grandfather for a raise. So he gave us $3 a week, which by that time it wasn't as much money. But I got to tell you, when I went away to college, and unfortunately my grandfather passed away the mid semester of my freshman year at
oh,
the winter break. But he wrote me a letter every week.
oh
Okay, it
my
was
God.
3 to 4 pages long on legal paper. He wrote big, but 3 to 4 pages long on legal paper, and wrapped inside the letter was a money order for $3.
Oh, I love that.
So that taught me a lot about commitment. You know what I mean? That's what commitment looks like. And I'll never forget that for the rest of my life. So he was instrumental in who I am today. And I wouldn't be the same
Oh.
person without having him in my life. So it would be really nice to have him around, but he did leave a legacy, I think.
Well, that tells me a lot about your values and where they came from. And thank you for sharing that story because commitment is really what it takes for any goal, really. Isn't that what it takes?
100%. And he was just, he was a one of a kind. He was like a union steward at the post office. He worked 31 years for the postal service.
Oh,
So, and he was there to make sure that employees got a fair shake always. And he's had a lot of respect at his location and in his vocation. So it's pretty neat just to hear him talk about it from time to time. Union business, he would talk about it as he was on his little typewriter. He
a
typed like this.
typewriter.
"I'm putting this hot letter on them. Wait till they read this letter." And it was funny, but he was a tough guy, I think, for sure.
Well, I love that story. And I really want to know also, now that we know what fuels you, can you share also what activates you?
It's interesting because fuel has to be activated, right? There has to be a catalyst, there has to be a spark, and so for that fuel to really begin burning. And so for me, they're really very closely related. So it could be something that I see I can do better, or I have something brought to my attention. And because we get busy and life happens, and this has been a year of adversity for many people, and I'm no exception to that. And some of that's carried over into 2021. And you just have some unexpected things happen, and then boom, it knocks you down from an emotional standpoint. And you're in a vulnerable position, and it throws you right off your game. So while you're trying to figure out how to get back on that horse, then you can fall into some poor habits, I think, or get away from your game plan and what's made you successful. And so every once in a while, someone will say, "Hey, I've noticed this, I've observed this," and it could be outside your conscious awareness. That's true, and boom, that's to me, that's a spark to get me back on track. Because a buddy of mine said this to me one day, and it's so true. He said, "You can't see the picture that you're in."
Right.
Okay, you're in the picture,
When
you
you're in
can't
the
see it.
picture.
You
Yeah.
can't see it, and so other people bring it to your attention, and it comes from a trusted source. You really need to look at it. So I always appreciate that. I always appreciate that feedback, and it's very helpful. Then also the same thing, if you receive positive reinforcement, then that tells me, hey, this is really resonating with people, and I'm doing a good thing here. And so how can I do it better? How can I do more of that? Or if there's something that gets pointed out, "Hey, I didn't really like this," or "I didn't really like that," then how can I fix that? That's once again another spark for me Or I think back, I'll contemplate back something or remind me, like, when you asked me about my grandfather, I hadn't thought about that story in a long time about the $3. But again, to me, that's a spark, and that motivates me because for everyone, motivation it wanes.
Yeah.
And so sometime when you're on a lower end, then that's when I'll reach back and grab one of those sparks, right? That, hey, I remember my grandpa said this, or my grandmother was an awesome lady too, and she said this, and then I'm reinvigorated and I can get back on track.
So is that sort of like your why? If you want to reach for something when you get off track, how can you suggest for our audience that they can get unstoppable when the corona coaster we've all been through in life in general? I know for all of us, for you as a speaker and all the speaking engagements that must have been canceled, what should they reach for to get back on track?
Wow, I love that term, corona coaster. I hadn't heard that one. So, but that's so accurate. So yeah, that why is so strong. And there's a few quotes out there that basically says if your why is strong enough, you can get through any what or how, right?
I love that.
And so for me, it's that. And I remember one time was when I was going through chiropractic college. That's my doctorate's in chiropractic. And
Wow.
so I was going through chiropractic college, and I was working full time and going to school, and going to school full time. And I was sleeping on the weekends. Basically, I was only getting 2 to 3 hours of sleep a night, which I know that's very unhealthy,
Not good. Yeah.
but it's the only way I could pull it off. And then I remember, like, if at lunch I would go and sleep in the car for an hour, like I had this alarm clock I'd set and go back to class. And then if a class got canceled, I didn't go and hang out. I went to my car and took a nap, and then I'd got my sleep on the weekends. And I remember about midway through, it was just too daunting, I felt like, and I was really struggling with school, barely passing classes. And you're tired, fatigued, your attitude, which I know now affects your attitude quite a bit when you're not getting enough rest. And
Of
it's
course.
high stress because it's very difficult curriculum. And I remember making a decision. It was a Sunday, and I had young kids too at the time, and I'd always, on Sundays, I'd spend 4 hours with the family on Saturday and 4 hours with them on Sunday. They got to pick the time. So outside of that, I got to study, right? You can't
Right.
bother me. So I always took them on Sundays to visit my relatives. And this one particular Sunday, I took them to visit my aunt and uncle. And my uncle Prentice he's a retired Marine Corps drill sergeant.
Wow.
And ton of respect for this guy, and didn't have a lot to say growing up, and just he didn't talk much. And so the kids are there playing. And I remember studying, it was microbiology, most challenging course I've ever had. And I just closed the book. I'm like, you know what? It's too much. And I'm going to go to school on Monday. I'm going to drop out. And then I was working at FedEx at the time. I'm going to go to FedEx and tell them, hey, I'm not in school anymore. So let me have more responsibility. And that was going to be my career. And I remember leaving the house that evening, and my uncle stopped me at the door, put his arm around my shoulder, and looked me in the eye and said, I'm proud of you.
Oh.
Now, he didn't know that I had made the decision an hour earlier to quit school. I got in that car and I'm like, there's no way I'm quitting.
Can't let your
I
uncle
said,
down, the drill sergeant.
I'm either going to die or I'm going to be a doctor, but I'm not quitting. I'm not going to let him down. And so those kind of moments, there's people that are depending on you,
Your
um,
kids and all that.
your kids,
Your
your
family,
family, or even with what we do now, with
clients
social
and all.
media, there are people that really are helped by these messages. And we can't just say, I don't feel like it today. That's not
Right.
acceptable.
An
It's not
obligation
acceptable.
that fuels you
We
then
do.
too
We
to make a bigger, greater impact.
exactly. And you want to make a positive impact on other individuals. And was David with Marlo today, right? To talk about changing the world. I mean, that's how
Yeah,
you do it, is you impact one
exactly.
individual at a time, and then they go out and they hit someone, they impact someone in a positive way because they've been impacted positively by us. And so that's so true. And we have enough people doing that, then that's how changes happen in the world in a positive way.
Plus, it starts within. Like you just lead and you show up being this spark of light, and then you're shining light for others to do the same. Okay, so we talked about what fuels you, what activates you, what motivates you, your commitment, your decisions. What is your plan?
So the plan is a great point, and it's something that you have to continually adjust. It's like an aircraft. If an aircraft leaves New York City and heading to LA, it's got to make a lot of flight adjustments along the way because of crosswinds, weather. They might have to fly up, down, around. That's part of it. And so life is not linear, right? It's going to be like this. And so we've got to know that and make adjustments on the fly. And in order to make those adjustments, on the fly, we've got to have a plan, and that plan has to be multi-dimensional, and we have to look at that plan on a daily basis, right? And so for me, I love using whiteboards. I think in my office I have like 17 whiteboard,
Oh
literally
my God.
17. But there's things that I just want to turn and look at. I don't want to have to pull up a file on my computer. I don't want to have to go through a notebook. I want to be able to turn to the left or turn to the right and see what I need to see and say, okay, and keep me on track that way. And everything is, there's no, I don't have any, everything that I do, if it's relaxing and playing a game, if it's taking a walk or reading, it's part of a greater plan. And the thing about it too is that adjustment period is so important that you got to be willing to adjust, especially from a mental health standpoint. I know this because I've crashed and burned before, right?
Oh, who hasn't
And
done that?
I mean, big time. Like, and I tell, and I remember I'll tell people because I'm committed, but I'm committed to about 80 hours. Okay. After 80, the wheels start wobbling, and at 100 hours in a week, the wheels come off. And so I can't, I know I can't do, I've done it before and it doesn't end well. So I can't do that. So as an entrepreneur, your day starts at say 5 a.m. and you're getting ready and you're reading and you're preparing and you're praying, you're meditating, you're doing all these things. And then you might have a break in here. You might have a 2 hour segment, but I'm working until I touch my computer off. And that's usually somewhere between 10 p.m. and midnight, right?
Me
That's
too.
how it
Those
goes.
are my hours.
And that's 7 days a week. However, when I have some unexpected stresses and things happen, and then I feel the wheels wobbling, I have to pull back. I know that about myself, and everyone doesn't understand that because they're not me and they're not you and they're not us. But we've got to honor those signs and say, hey, I just cannot do anymore. I can't talk to one more person today. I can't take one more call. I can't take one more email. And it's just, that's part of it. I don't have a team of 20 people that I can pass this stuff on
Yeah,
to, right? And so that's part of the price. And I wish I was invincible, but I'm not. But I am unstoppable.
I love that. I love
Right?
that you're human too. That's
Yeah,
so awesome.
yeah. I
Do you have
mean,
anything else you want to share with our audience about being unstoppable?
yeah, and so just be committed to who you are, be true to yourself, and have the courage to be who you are. And you're going to draw in your tribe. You're going to draw in your audience naturally that way. And then and be happy and be fine with that, and understand that not everyone's going to resonate, not everyone's going to understand, and that's okay.
That's
That's
okay.
okay. It's okay.
We're not everyone's cup of tea.
Right, right, right. This is so true, and it's fine. Nothing problem. There's plenty out here. It's a world of abundance, so it's all good.
All right. Well, I love that the haterade doesn't bother you at all. And where can people find you? You're just so awesome. And I love your post on LinkedIn, your dash cam wisdom.
Yeah, so find me on YouTube, Dashcam Wisdom, LinkedIn, Dr. Charlie Cartwright. Please connect. Post content 5 days a week. That'll be moving up to more. I'm going to move up to 6 days a week soon, and those are the two best ways to get a hold of me. But definitely LinkedIn's the best way, and got my profile there, and there's a lot of links and a lot of great content. I think that'll add value if you choose to consume.
You are unstoppable. Thanks, Dr. Charlie Cartwright.
Thank you for having me, Lisa G.